recently, Scott spoke at Tony Robbins' business owners event. They put 500 people in a room out in Vegas at $5,000 a head and had a pretty good seminar. The comment that I heard was that Tony Robbins went up to Scott after the event and said, of the 19 speakers that we had, you provided more value than the rest of them put together. And invited Scott out to his Fiji Island and spent a whole day with him talking about how he could actually advise Tony on his company. So Scott's just a really smart guy, a ton of business experience. Audiences are able to get a lot out of what he has to say. Get ready to take some notes and help me welcome Scott Hallman.
Evidently there's a clicker up here somewhere. I guess that's here. Before I get started, how many of you in this room are startups again? Okay. How many of you are pure online plays? Okay, about half of you. How many of you are online and offline? Cool. All right, great. How many of you are currently you're online or you're offline but you want to go online? All right, great. What we're going to talk about today is going to rock your world. So the first question is, how many of you want to learn how to systematically add $10,000 to $100,000, not in the next year or in the next month, but literally in the next 90 minutes? I need more of a cheer than that because I'm actually going to deliver it. So I know it sounds crazy. It's a big claim. I did this at Tony Robbins' event. I told Tony the same thing. And I said, Tony, my goal is that by the time I get off that stage, I'm going to have people raise their hands, and not only are they going to pay for the $5,000 you charged them to be here and flying to Vegas, I'm going to cover all their eating expenses, all their expenses in the next 90 minutes, everything but the gambling. And so the gambling is where I cut off. So the result was, we got to the end, and by the way, I hope to blow that away this time, is by the time we got to the end, the number was actually 44.2 million, their survey, not mine. So the results were quite amazing, and I wanted you to hear a little bit about it before I go on. You're not going to hear about it.
A program with Tony Robbins called the Ultimate Business Mastery Summit. And we invited Scott Hallman to be one of our speakers. We asked Scott to focus on helping the audience find additional profits in their business. There were about 400 business owners in the audience from all over the world and in every kind of industry you can imagine. Scott did just 90 minutes, and when he was done, we surveyed the audience to see how he did. The total revenue and additional profits, and again, I'm talking profits, not gross sales increases. These are profits that they had laying in their business that they did not know they even had in their business, was $44 million in just 90 minutes. In fact, over 50 of the people in the audience told us that they found an additional $250,000 in pure profits just from a 90-minute segment with Scott Hallman.
So how's that possible? Well, one of the things is that we're going to talk about, and Brad and I spent a whole day long talking about TOC and impacts on businesses, whether or not they are brick-and-mortar businesses, they're online businesses, or pure information businesses. And the key that we came up with is it's where execution and strategy come together. How many of you out there have gone to a seminar like this? As a matter of fact, already, how many of you have written down more than, say, 10 ideas? Right? I do this at the end of the Tony Robbins seminar. I did this at the end of Mark Victor Hansen's event. I do something called hierarchy of opportunity. I say, look, we're all in this room. We've been through 4 days of this. We've literally got 100 pages of notes. How do you decide what you're going to actually do? So what ends up happening, and I have a whole process for that, what ends up happening is you go back and you cannot possibly attack all those things. You really have to have a strategy for crunching them down. Again, I don't care whether you're working out of your spare bedroom and you have hardly any sales. We all run into the same thing, don't we? Does everybody have this challenge? All right. So this first company that I built from the spare bedroom of my apartment. And I want to tell the story because, yes, I've been very successful. But many of you in this room that are startups, I started right where you were. I had absolutely no money. I borrowed $5,000 from my landlord. True story. She looked at me and said, I believe in you. And by the way, she didn't say next 10 months free. I got the $5,000. And, so I started off with the basics, and I know what it's like to build a business. I know what it's like to build a business when you can't get a loan. I know what it's like to build a business when on Friday I owe expenses, mainly payroll, and I write a check, which I later found out was illegal, by the way, and my brother wrote a check, and he had no money in his account, hoping that Saturday I'd have enough deposits to cover it. I know what it's like to start a business from the ground up and know you got to wear every single hat, and you're the smartest person in your company. You don't feel like you have anybody to go to. When I started my business, it was in the worst recession since the Great Depression, 79, 82, yes, worse than now. I was just too young and too stupid to know you're not supposed to start a business in the worst recession since the Great Depression. Or was I? See, it's like Cortez's ship. I was hungry. You know, I went to USC, I went through the entrepreneur program there, I graduated, I was already worked full-time, went to school full-time through college. I was running a company when I graduated, making twice as much money as anybody I knew. And remember, I had no money. And so I ended up leaving USC and deciding, you know, I created this pro forma, this document, and this business plan that said I could go do this business I created, and I literally quit 1, 2, 3 and jumped in. See, it was Cortez's ship. Everybody knows that story, right? The ship goes, he burns the ship, and now they got to win the war. And it's the same thing because it's a battle in this environment right now. So what happened was really interesting. It had all these established competitors, and they all buried themselves in the sand. They stopped marketing, they stopped innovating, and I was just forging forward, and I went, boom, and I just passed them all up. And I looked back, and I dwarfed them all. You know, so this is the kind of opportunity you have in this recession. That's the coolest thing about this recession is it creates massive opportunity. And that company became Inc. Magazine's 59th fastest growing privately held company in America. And again, I started with nothing. I never got a loan from a bank until I didn't need it anymore. Right? Well, thank you very much. I don't need this anymore. Right? Then I decided I retired. I do this all the time. I took time off with my family. And anybody ever here build a house? Oh, come on, that's it? Oh my God, you're in for this, just wait. So you build a house, it's over budget, nothing goes right. I was bored, you know, you don't want to take an entrepreneur and shut him off. So I got a Bobcat, never drove a Bobcat before and ripped my yard up. 14 months later, I called landscapers in to fix my mess. So I got connected up with the youngest partner of Booz Allen, a big consulting firm, and we were bored, and he says, you know, let's start a business, just buy a business. I said, all right. So we looked at garbage company, we looked at everything. And we decided in the mid-market of the customer relationship management space, companies between 100 million and 1 billion, which was totally foreign to me, by the way, we thought there was a sweet spot. So we toiled for 9 months, put together a business plan, and raised $77 million on our 2 signatures. Now, the plan was to go and create this dominant company. We were about halfway along the trip when the market was, I guess, overly cooperating, and things were crazy, and we decided we were going to go public. That company, we were going out in May of 2000 with a value by Solomon Brothers of nearly $1 billion, $982 million to be exact. Now, one of the things I'm going to talk about here is I like to try to be accurate. That's why it says 982, because that's what it was. And so, again, that's a big company experience. My first one was a small company experience. I then repeated again, came in and did it one more time, was ranked 106 on the Inc. 500 list once again. 2 of these were from the ground up. The middle one, which looks really cool, I spent 9 months with my team for no money, not knowing if we're going to get money, sifting through 6,600 companies so we could end up getting funding. So again, one of the things I want to share is business is, to be really successful, it's not that easy. I know everybody wants to get on stage and tell you it's easy. One push button and you're an internet guru. It doesn't work that way. And you talk to anybody in this room who's really successful and they worked hard. Right? It takes work. Doesn't mean that there aren't easy things. I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of easy ways to make $10,000 or more today. But I want to ground you. Can I have permission? I want to do a workshop today. I'm literally going to have you guys do a little bit of work. Is everybody up for that? If we can do this? I need about 20 minutes or so to ground you. And I call it the boring way to riches, but it's really important to set this premise up. Because if I don't set this premise up, I get the yeah, I understand that. Because I'm going to share with you some simple concepts that you all know. Everybody in this room knows them. But I'm going to tell you show you how to implement them and take them to a whole new level. All right, so why did I give up this? By the way, I've done this 3 times. I go out and drive my wife nuts and come back. But this is my reason, so I have to show my family as well. And you know, when I was building my last company, I went taking it public for 3 years. I went to work